Oh, hey, hi, it's me, Annika, your host today with another Adobe Express stream here on Adobe Live. I am joined by Jesse Showalter today, and I'm really excited because I love Jesse's work. I've been following Jesse's work for a while, so this is an honor. I'm excited. I love all the tutorials. Jesse, how's it going today?
Going good. I'm excited to be here. We're going to talk a little bit about Adobe Express. Going to talk about like one thing that's I'm really passionate about, which is content. So I'm super pumped.
I love that. I have my eyes on both the YouTube and Behance chat. So, guys, if you're tuning in today live with us, make sure to put in the questions. I'm sure you have a lot of them because we're going to be deep diving into it. We're going to get into the weeds of it, branding, you name it. We have Adobe Express and a content funnel. I mean, I love a content funnel. I'm sure you do too. So why don't we get into the swing of things and get it started? Take the stage. Let us know who you
Sounds-
are as well, Jesse, for those of us who've never met you before.
Yeah, my name's Jesse Showalter. I am a designer, primarily doing a lot of UI, UX design, websites, web apps, and mobile applications. But about 6.5 years ago, I started a YouTube channel because I just wanted to do something that would allow me to give back and actually contribute to the design community that has helped me so much. So started that YouTube channel about 6 years ago, and it has grown to about like somewhere like near 330,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I spent the first, I'll be really honest, 3 years or 4 years of that process doing things like really manually, not really having a smart plan about going
Mhm.
about building content. I had the heart to do it, but I didn't necessarily hadn't spent the time like putting my mind to it and figuring out how can I be super efficient, how can I be really productive. And in the last year and a half or two, I wouldn't say mastered, but I have a much better idea on how to build what's called a content funnel. That has allowed me to create multiple pieces of content each and every week to help people. So I can reach more people. I can build my brand online more. I can help more people because I'm being more productive. And so today we're going to, really, it's an extension of what I have been doing, which is using a tool like Adobe Express just to be more productive. So that's a little bit about who I am and what I've done.
Let's do it. I'm excited. It's actually really nice to see and learn from someone who's done it for a long time because the experience really makes a difference in terms of strategy as well. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think what's really interesting too is when you start out and you're creating, content, whether that's on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. We're going to talk about this a little bit today, but why is it important? Why should you want to build a brand online? Why does content creation matter?
Yeah.
But there's a huge difference between starting with lots of excitement, lots of energy, and then continuing to stay consistent and
Yeah.
lasting basically for 6.5 years to create consistent content each and every week. It's a very, very different mindset, one of beginning versus one of consistently creating for the long haul. And so, I guess I want to start with that a little bit because we are in Adobe Express right now. But before we get real technical, I would say like maybe people are watching this going, the stream's not for me. But I do think it's important to think about creating some kind of content or at least some sort of consistency online, no matter what type
Mhm.
of creative you are. And I found these two crazy stats recently that the first one is 50% of people feel more comfortable buying some sort of product or even just intaking information from some
Mhm.
sort of consistent online brand. But this one's the real the mind blower to me, which is 30% of companies feel more comfortable hiring somebody who has a consistent
Oh,
online brand.
yeah.
So, when there's times right now where like the career landscape, the creative landscape right now for job openings is maybe a little bit more competitive. One of the things you can do to give you a 30% edge is to create some sort of consistent online brand. You don't have to become an influencer. You don't have to have a YouTube channel that you put out, weekly videos or whatever, but just having some sort of consistency online to showcase who you are and what you do is going to give you that leg up. And the real problem with that is it just becomes another thing to do, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I
Yeah.
have I have a
Oh,
wife, I got
yeah.
2 kids, I got jobs, I got clients, I got all sorts of stuff to do. Gosh, like making content consistently, there's too much time, there's too many platforms, it's too hard. And that's where we kind of introduce Adobe Express because I think it could be the solution for a lot of people who are
Yeah.
wanting to do this. So, uh,
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I think I used that last week to like revamp my YouTube and Instagram where I was creating consistency. My design aesthetic has changed over the past couple of years. I'm like, oh, this doesn't really reflect my true personality and my brand anymore. So I need
right.
consistent content and I just use Express for that. Why don't you dive into it? Why don't we start with the branding? What are we making?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, a good plan for the day is actually we have a limited amount of time, but I want to show how much you can actually do in a limited amount of time
Yeah.
so that there's no excuse. Because I know early on I made a ton of excuses like, oh, I don't have time for this. But today, what we're going to try to accomplish is we're going to build a really quick brand. It's not going to be the coolest, most amazing open up Illustrator. We're going to do it all in Express. We're going to build a brand for a podcast, a hypothetical podcast that we're starting. And then we're going to like look at how to build that brand out so we have consistency and libraries inside of Express. And then we're going to create a content funnel with that. So we're going to build logos, color palette, kind of all that stuff. And then we're going to move into top of funnel. We're going to start with text. Like we're going to start with some content. We're going to make video, audio, visual, and out of that, we're going to make multiple pieces of content. And then we will start a channel, not actually start a channel, but we'll be able to start a channel and then schedule content immediately. So that's the plan for the day. So we don't waste any more time. Let's get started. I'm right here in Adobe Express. And the first thing that I want to do is I need to start with some sort of brand, right? So every tree that's going to grow and bear fruit has to have some roots. And for us, some sort of brand, some sort of color palette, some sort of something is going to be that thing. So I think one of the first things I'm going to do is just head over and I'm going to browse templates inside of a logo. And again, if you're like, I don't have a logo, it's like, hey, just start there. I'm a much bigger fan of starting with something and getting momentum and then rebranding later. But I'm going to do a podcast. So I was looking earlier, just kind of scoping out some things, but I like a bold, kind of like bright, like something for like a podcast. And so we're going to choose this one. It has like this really kind of a little bit of a grungy feel. We might change that, but I like this orange and black. It's really simple, 2 colors. Let's just go with it. That'll be easy for us. And so I'd love to hear what the chat thinks. What we should name our podcast. I kind of have an idea. I think I have some content written out about niching things down a little bit. So I don't know, maybe for now, we might just call it niching down. I'm going to copy the word niching because I can never spell it right. So yeah, that's a constant problem for me. So I have massive typography here. So I'm going to jump in to Express here on the left-hand panel. I'm just going to drop this down to something like 200 for my font size. So I'm going to say niching, and then let's just do this and go, let's just call it niching down. Something like that. Okay. And then we can actually come in here and we'll change the line height. And this says niche in. We're going to put a G at the end of that for sure. I mean, one of the things, we're not working so fast, we can't have proper grammar, but let's, and then if anybody has questions while I'm doing any of this, I love to answer questions. It could be questions about Express. It could be questions about content. I love all of it. I tell you what, let's go with that. And we'll stop right there really quickly and just say like, what if it was that simple? Okay. Like it could be pretty rad. So we're going to start there. I'm going to jump back to home and let's see if that saved it. Oh, it didn't. Whoops. I messed up. We're going to have to do that again really quickly because I didn't save. So
that's fine. And if anyone's wondering, we're actually in the Adobe Express Beta, and the link that is in chat, our moderator Wade has sent a link. So yeah, you can sign up. It's free to sign up.
That's again one of the coolest things is like it really is free, and so it's free to sign up. I love that. I think that's really cool. I think a lot of times people get bogged down. I know I did. I got bogged down with this idea of but don't I have to have the best gear, the best programs? I got to use Photoshop. I got to use Illustrator. But really, like it's all about just starting. So I'm going to type all this in again, do this one more time, just get some line spacing there, and kind of click out of there and recenter my text. Now, I really like these. I really like these background elements. So we're probably going to try to pull those out as well. And I'm going to rename this cover.
Yeah, go to save it this time. Sip and save, chat.
Yep, here we go. Renamed, titled, cover. Okay, cool. Absolutely. Now, the next thing that I definitely might do is I'm going to head over to my stuff and I'm going to go to brand and libraries. And you can see I have a lot of Adobe CC libraries set up. And I also have some brands set up. I have one for my personal brand, but we're going to need to build one for this current brand. So you can see I have those projects down here. I'm going to head over on the left-hand side and immediately head over to brands, and I'm going to create this new brand. Let's call this one niching down, or I could have just called it podcast, whatever you want. And I love that it opens up this screen because it kind of lays out some of the brand pillars for us. Like we're going to upload some logos. We're going to do colors. We're going to have potential fonts and graphics. And then later on, we'll actually create a bunch of elements like Instagram stories, Instagram reel covers, stuff. And then we'll save all those as templates. We'll bring them back in here and they'll be sitting in our brand kit. And the coolest thing about this is once we build all this stuff out, we'll actually be able to share this. We'll be able to invite people to our brand. And so at the start, maybe it's just you, maybe you're doing your own thing, but later on, your podcast, your YouTube channel blows up. You might be able to hire somebody to spend an hour or two making some of this content for you. And you can just share them right here to this library, invite them into your team, which could be really, really cool. It could be super helpful for you. So, okay, so we have our brand started here, and I'm just going to jump in a new tab. I kind of like to tab back and forth sometimes, especially when I'm doing something like this. I'm going to open that piece that I had here, and I'm just going to grab this background color really quickly. I'm just going to color pick it, and I actually have a really cool like little plugin installed on my computer called Color Snapper that allows me just to grab the color. And
I love that.
yeah, that's a fun one. So I'm gonna pop this one in here and then just edit the color and make sure it is the correct custom color that we're working with, which it totally is. Cool. And then I think it looks like pure black. It's absolutely pure black, which is a bit edgy, but let's go edgy today.
We're going for bold. And also
we're going for bold.
I think like for those of us who don't have the plugin, you can actually go back to your project and go to background color there on top. And if you like browse to custom, I think it gives you like a hex code. I'm not too sure.
Yes, it does. Like you can see, okay, yeah, you're right. So we had like custom, you also have like your swatches, like any of your page themes. There's also way more colors you could pull down here, which is super cool. And then I love this is like you're already starting to see like the brand kind of like represented. You get that quick little preview, so that's pretty nice. I love that a lot. And then what I'm going to do here is I'll probably just download this one really quickly and then re-upload it, so I just have something sitting in there for now. But I was kind of thinking it might be fun also because I know Express just integrated a lot of Adobe Firefly. Firefly is getting integrated in a ton of stuff. So let's say you're the kind of person that's like, hey, I don't really have an idea of what it should look like. We might want to just use Firefly and do some text to image like AI stuff. So let's try describing it. I'm going to do a podcast microphone with an orange background and just see what it generates for me. So now it's going to open up and get Firefly cooking right in Adobe Express, which for me, I'm like, I talk to a lot. Oh, look at that. Wow. That's already cool. I'm like, hey, this is already a pretty cool logo. I'm already
digging it. Use that for one of the Instagram posts. I already see it with like text overlay and like a gradient flowing in there. I can see it.
Look, oh, there's your gradient, like kind of like circular gradient, radiant gradient coming out from it. We have it a little bit more on the tabletop. I like this kind of old school one, but I'm kind of I'm kind of digging all of them. It's tough to choose, but I really, really like this one. So I think I definitely might like stick with this one. This one is super cool. We could have gone back in and changed and picked like, hey, do we want digital art or like neon or synthwave? All of those could have been really cool options, but we're trying to do it really fast. So I really like this one. We're going to stick with it. Okay. And with that being done, I might actually just come over here and I have a couple of objects like or elements like that I might want to pull in. So one of them, I'm definitely going to upload like my logo into there, I think. Let's try that real quick. I'm going to go to my downloads and I have that cover and I have this like microphone. Let's just upload both of them in there. So we have something cooking and see how that goes.
Yeah, the chat is really loving the text to image. Everyone's like,
isn't it fun? I know. I would, if I had time, I would just spend nothing but that time playing around, seeing all the different options we could come up with because it is super duper rad. Like we could also just like load more from the current settings that we got here and it's just going to generate new ones, which is always for me fun. Like I never lose the progress that I've made. I just get to expand upon it. If I want to like change that over to something like synthwave and try again, totally can. You get a totally different vibe from it. And so I definitely encourage people to come in it because to me sometimes the blank canvas, and I think it relates well to like creating some sort of content funnel or creating content online. The blank canvas, the blank account, the empty account with no posts sometimes is the scariest thing. But if you just maybe ask AI to do a little starting work for you, we can riff off of it and get us kind of going. All right, so we got some colors, we got some ideas. I think we had like kind of a grittier font in there. So we can kind of go back and find what that font was really quickly. Let's just click back on our graphic that we created for our title there. And it's using this one called Octnaz. I can't pronounce that. We're gonna see if we
We
can
can just
search.
copy paste it.
There
That's
we
all right.
go. Copy
That's where the
paste it
copy
right in there.
paste comes in handy. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Now we got that brand font. And then it's asking for the last thing we'll upload is some graphics. And that could be JPEGs, it could be artwork. For us, I have a bunch of images that I think might be a good fit. So I'm going to drag those in. Oops, excuse me. Let's try again. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to grab from my desktop. I got a bunch of stock imagery that I grabbed. Just things that have to do with podcasting and things that have to do with like, that might help us later when we're creating some graphics and some different things. So, okay, cool. So now we got some imagery in there. We got some gritty text. We might want to add, like maybe like this is a bit gritty, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when it gets to like maybe putting body copy in, we might want to select something right now. So I might just grab something like Pop-ins. It's got a lot of different weights, a lot of different sizes. So I can kind of like, yeah. So maybe something a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more legible. That'll be nice. Okay. So check it out. We built a brand like pretty quickly called like for our podcast called Niching Down. It's got some imagery, colors, typography, and some like photo assets for us to use. And I think, and what I think is really great also is that you can, like we said, invite people, but also we could use this as a library. So I'm going to turn it into a library because, well, we could do that later. But by turning it into a library, this means I now have access to it in my other Adobe applications. So I can use that in Premiere Pro when I'm cutting things up. I can use it like inside of Illustrator or Photoshop if I want to do something. It's like all of those assets are now shared and available to me. And again, when we're talking about time saving and consistency, boom, like there it is. Like being able to open up anything and have access to everything that I've created. That's super fun. I love that a lot. So
I also actually love that you can convert a library to a brand as well. So maybe if you wanted to do that and apply as a brand, and you initially created these assets in say Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, you can just bring that into Express, go to your libraries and use it as a brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Like let's see, like I got this one here, and I just saw like when you hover over it, there it is, like use as brand. Boom. It brings in like brings it into here, and then we would be able to, there's my graphics that are being uploaded in there, and I'm sure that if I click on colors, I would be able to like pull some custom colors and boom, pop those in there. So yeah, look, we could build multiple brands in here and start kicking them out, turning them out really quickly. I think this is also pretty crazy for anybody that's interested in doing work like freelance work as a social media manager. Like
absolutely.
I know I heard like in some of the previous streams today that like that might be on the horizon, being able to have multiple different content calendars, multiple connections for scheduling. So that could become like a pretty cool, viable option as well. So, okay, cool. So we have, we started kind of building a little bit of a brand. We got logo, color palettes, a few things like that. Why don't we talk about now specifically about the funnel? One of the way that I work usually, I still think content is king. The written word, I think, is still going to be like one of the best ways to start, even if it's an outline, a deep outline, or something like this, which is like, probably more like a blog post or an email newsletter. So I think starting with like really filled out thoughts of some kind, and this is just in whatever text editor, but it's nice. It's nice to start there, because when I start thinking about it, I'm like, okay, I have individual like chunks or points to my blog post. I think the next best top of funnel for people to start is after they've written out an outline or a script. In my personal opinion, is video, even if you're not going to use it as video, because video can then get turned into like short form video. You can stay as long form video. You can extract the audio out of it and get different snippets there. So it's really about like finding the largest piece. Some people might say that video could be top of funnel, because then you could actually, using some AI tools online, you could extract the written out of it, and then you immediately have a blog post. So maybe you want to go that way. That's totally cool as well. It just depends on what's easiest for you. So I'm a person that, to be really honest, like video is probably easiest for me, because I tend to do outlines.
Yeah.
And then I speak through those outlines, and what comes out of them could be something like a blog post. So the first step is really finding what will be your top of funnel. And let's just say in this use case of our podcast, their top of funnel is their script, their manuscript for their podcast they're going to use. So
That's
we
actually
would,
such a great way to put it. Like, it also brings up the idea of repurposing your content. So whatever's at the top of the funnel will actually dictate whatever's down on the other levels, which
yeah.
kind of like is a great way to put it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Think about everything running downhill. That's what you
Yeah.
want. You start with the biggest thing and allow it to just use the momentum of the content itself. I think a lot of
Mhm.
people are so fixated on, oh, I have to create another new piece of content, another
Yeah.
new piece of content. What makes a lot more sense is to create one big piece of content that you know has sections or chapters or modules you can pull out of it. So in that like example, like I have actually taken the script that we have, and I have like filmed a couple of videos just like sitting right here at my desk. I took that script and I just filmed a couple of videos like this on my iPhone. Didn't have to be
Mhm.
fancy, but here I
Mhm.
am talking about like niching down. This content is literally just me reading like one
Yeah.
of my chunks from my script, right? Okay, so now that I know that, it's really cool because Express actually has like a lot of video options like built right in, right?
Yeah.
So to kind of like play with those, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go hit social media right here, and I'm going to do something like an Instagram reel. Now, again, to save time, I might start with a template just to see what they got, right? Because that's going to save me some time. And we're really, really lucky here because we see one, like my eye just is drawn to it because it has orange built into it already. So I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, this looks like the least amount of work. Let's go there. But if you scroll down, I love this. Like you get these really cool previews. And what Express is doing is it's animating different components and elements on top of it. And it still has a space you can see right there for some kind of video to be used like inside. Like here's one that actually looks like it's meant for podcasters like me or for my brand. So that could be a
Mhm.
good one as well. But why don't we start with this one? I'm going to click it. It gives you the timing of it too. It told you, hey, it's about a 5-second little video clip. Okay, cool. Fantastic. So I have some sort of image here, and we get almost like this Premiere Pro or Adobe Rush kind of
Yeah.
like timeline down below where we can kind of play through it and scrub through the timeline. This
Yeah.
would be really great. Like I would look at this immediately like, okay, this is a cool maybe promotional piece like for my like Instagram, like to put on my account to tell people, hey, my podcast is coming soon. So that could be pretty cool. So why don't we play with this one? We might do an image version, we might do a video version. Could be really fun, but we can always add more scenes if we want to. So I'm just going to tuck away the timeline for now. And I'm going to come into my stuff. I'm going to open up my brands and my libraries. And you can see I have somewhere in here, we should have
There we go.
niching down, our library that is niching down. There it is. Okay, so we got a bunch of assets. And so I might actually grab and like just drag in. I clicked on it once and then I dragged it in again. So all you actually have to do is click on it and it'll drag it in for you. So
Yep.
we're going to just size our image here. Okay, cool. Liking that so far. And then what we're going to do is open up the layers panel over here on the right hand side. I love the visualization of layers here. It's super user friendly because I think some people out there too are not necessarily like designers, but like
Yeah.
they haven't spent a lot of time in Photoshop layers, like people, you know, who maybe been doing it for a really long time. And so like, man, I can't tell you how many people like that are non-designers I've talked to that even the layers panel is terrifying to them. But I think Express does a really good job of making it like accessible, making it not
Yeah.
scary.
I
So
agree with that.
you just get to
Yeah.
drag these nice, helpful little layers around, boom, pop it right there. And now we got something going. So that feels pretty good. And I do think this is also really cool. I don't know how much you've played with this, Anika, but like the native like remove background
I
features.
have. I was actually going to ask you if you're going to do that here.
Oh, I think we'll do it on a different one, but like
Okay.
for this
Yeah.
one, we might keep the type of stuff we have like going on. I'm gonna click and just try a couple of different images in here and just sample them really quick, see which one I like best. Dragging that into the right position. I think I like this one. I think it's oriented more. And again, if we were hopefully we have like the right assets and stuff. That's making it
Yeah.
really easy and nice for us that we actually have some assets. So, a little photo shoot for your brand or whatever you're doing might be helpful. But okay, this is looking pretty cool. Why don't we bring our timeline back up and just see how it looks now with our actual imagery inside of it? Looks pretty cool. I'm digging it.
I actually
And
love
then
that the headphones are the brand colors as well. This is
that's
like
super
you
lucky.
chose this
Yeah.
or the red, the
That's
orange. Sorry.
very, very lucky. I will admit it. Okay. So, yeah, it's okay. So we're selecting our text. It actually gives us some options over here on like in the left-hand panel of the text we
Mhm.
might want. But again, I think if we bring our brand stuff back in and just click on it, we should be able to, let's see, actually drag a piece of, ooh, shouldn't we?
Oh,
Yeah, we should.
yeah. I think we should be able to apply it. Oh, so if you click on the text, where you choose the font, it gives you
There it
that.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's inside of our brand stuff right there. There's niching down and there's our two brand fonts. Boom. So we can pick one. Let's make sure we actually have our text selected, I think.
Mm-hmm.
One
Think just
second.
like,
There we go. Let's try that again. And go back.
no.
This is me. I'm getting all sorts of funky here. Hold on.
Oh no, this is just like the regular workflow. This is how everyone does it. It's
Yeah.
totally normal.
All right. There it is. Okay. Try that one more time.
I think you have to have the text also selected. So just like Control A into the text box.
Yeah.
Come on, Dave, for the Mac users out there.
I think we're having just a little bit of trouble right now. For some reason, it won't select the text. But you know what I might do really quickly is I'm going to rename this and just make sure we save this. So I'm going to call this reel number 1.
Yeah, and we're also in the beta, so
Yeah, we're in beta,
the
so little
product.
things like that are going to
Yeah,
happen. But honestly,
yeah,
like I'm not phased. It ain't bugging me. Let's come back
yeah.
in.
Quick refresh helps you.
Quick refresh. There we go. So now I'm pressing Command A and or
Mhm.
Control A and I'm selecting everything. That'll allow me to drop down and hopefully find again our
There
brand
we
stuff.
go.
Boom, there it is. It's a little grungy, it's
Mhm.
not my style of brand, but that's cool. Like it might, it's I think it's working for this demo.
I
But
think that's also like a great point for all the social media managers or business owners out there that the social media managers, this may not be your style, but you got to work with all the brands, right? You can't just put your style
exactly.
on the brand you're working on. So this is
Yeah,
a great
absolutely.
example.
So we're just going to play with the text here a little bit. And like I said, after we're done with this, if we get it to a place that we actually like it, we will then like consider turning this into a template that could get used over and over and over. So let's just do a little bit because this grungy text is like a little bit, the line height there is a little close. So we're just going to put the name of our podcast here, niching down.
While you do that, I have a question. I have a type question. You just like
Sure.
center align that. What are your thoughts about center aligning and left aligning? Should people do it? What's the debate? Let's talk
That's
about
good.
it.
That's a great question. Yeah, I think like when in doubt, like left it out is like the thing I was always
Yeah.
told. But
Yeah.
there's certain times like in headlines display things like
Mhm.
in certain little moments you can. I think the
Yeah.
biggest thing is I think there's a lot of flexibility here, left align, right align, center align. But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, legibility is actually the most important. So in small amounts of text, I'm okay with something center aligned.
Yeah.
If I'm, I would never want to read this article center aligned. That's going to be real
Absolutely.
hard for me.
Yeah.
But in small amounts of little text, like little headlines and subheadlines, I'm okay with it. And then in a promotional item like this, I'm also okay with it. So yeah, I think it's a great question though. Great question.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I feel like you have to also feel it out in experience. And with time and creating those graphics, you kind of know how to like flow your text around in the graphic just so that the user can see
Yes,
what
yes.
first is also
Yeah,
important.
absolutely. No, that's perfect. Makes perfect sense. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can actually just tweak the color of these like little stars that are happening here and add like less contrast and brightness and see if I can just kind of cheat it and get them to be black. I don't know how to change the color of them like those.
Oh, I think if you go back from the adjustments and go back to effects, right above adjustments, there's an effect.
Oops, try again.
panel. Yeah, right
Effects,
here.
there it is.
And
Yeah, there
that's
we
where
go.
you can,
Darken.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
one. That's the one we need. Thank you. Anika is saving the day. That's what we need.
That's what I'm here for.
That's so good. So now one, we're going to add a little adjustment and some effect as well. And that's where we get it to look a little bit more branded. Okay, cool. So podcast is launching soon, niching down. We'll put like weekly episodes here or something like that. And then again, let's try it real quick and we'll run our timeline, press play on it.
Pretty cool. While we're doing that, we're about 30 minutes into the stream. I want to say hi to some of the folks that have just joined
Yeah.
us. Kara Creates on YouTube says this is one of my favorite YouTubes, ready to learn. So thank you for being here, Janine, as well. And Barbara, Umukan, Jeff, thank you for joining and let us know if you have any questions. For those of us who are just joining us, we have Jesse Showalter today with us. We're 30 minutes into the stream. We made a brand. We're making promo video here, and I'm really excited. I'm pumped to create more content. We have about 25-ish minutes to go, and we're just making a template now. So let's listen to what.
Yep, we just we went up to the top right there to three dots and hit it and said, hey, let's make a template out of it, and just making sure that we're putting it in the right brand or library. And we could create a new brand out of it. That's another kind of workflow there. If you wanted to start with a design and then immediately create the brand off of it, you could. But now we've saved it as a template, and that looks pretty good. We like that, just how it is. So from here, MP4 version, that's cool. We'll download, and then we'll create like maybe like a few other little elements here. We might do like maybe a carousel, and then actually work with some brand stuff there. We'll be able to pump that out pretty quickly. And then we'll be able to move over to Adobe Schedule, pop some things in, and get the schedule going for our brand. Now, the really cool thing is, like, once we're here, I can also just like duplicate this file, or I can add another page that's the same exact size. And so now I have, you can see 2 out of 2. I could title this really quickly here, like week 1 or like episode. And it's going to do the work here once my browser loads. My browser's a little slow today, but we would be able to have like multiples of them, which is really, really great. And you can see those multiples when I hit, what do we call that little guy right there? We call that view all pages. There we go. I call it like a light board from back in the day, but we'd be able to duplicate and have that going on. So that's pretty cool. You can also come in here and like resize if you want, which is like, again, when we're talking about a content funnel, like we create it here, and then immediately we have some options. Like we can do an Instagram square post. And let's see what else we could do, like a TikTok video, a Facebook post,
a YouTube thing.
Yeah, something like that. So let's start like a square post though, and like we could resize it, and immediately it swaps the size. And then with just like a few little tweaks and changes, we have like the same thing. So you see how quickly it's like one piece of content just became a second. I got a video and I have an Instagram post image. That's super cool. So just some examples of how that might like help people create content a little bit quicker. And one of my favorite things is always like when you log back into Express, you always get like all of your creations down here. So it's easy to like pick back up from where you left off. And if that wasn't enough, again, we can always go back to our brands or to our libraries, and we can find, you know, like all of our stuff. There's our template being built. Somehow I unbranded this, so I'm going to use it as a brand so that it's back in. But yeah, so now you can see the template that's starting to be built down there. Let's build like a carousel post, because that would be pretty like common thing.
What is
like
niching
Instagram.
down?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just go over and find that one. This is the Instagram carousel. So again, we'll just grab a quick template, start from there. We could totally do it from scratch if we wanted to, or we can just find something. I like more of like a simple, obviously we've seen like a little bit more of like a simple modern kind of style, but I am really thankful for the amount of different like templates that are there. So I'm going to grab this one. And then I'm going to do like this thing. What I'm about to do like blows my mind, which is like come up to theme. And then you can walk through all the different themes that you have here, which I absolutely love. I think this is super fun. So we can actually, I believe, search for our brand. No, we can't, but we can search for like orange to get us like started. So I can do something like that and just walk through a couple of these orange brands. Like that one immediately gets me kind of close. Right? Like I like that light background, although I'm missing a little bit of that texture. So that's okay. I'm going to go over to media. I'm going to do a quick search just for something like texture and see what we find. I think to go with the grungy style we know we're probably going to do, I might pull one of these grungy styles and pop it in there. And I'm going to move it to the background with my layers. So why don't we just drag that, move it to the back. And then I'm going to like actually select my element. And then I'm going to bring the opacity down. Just a little bit like that. Okay. So again, like, you know, we could do like 3 tips for, and then put our content in here, niching down in 2023. Boom. That's the start of like our post. And then we have those 4. So we to make it really easy, we might keep this initial like cover, but then we'll delete these extra 2. And now we'll come in and we will do the same thing. We will edit this one and just go find that orange theme again and get us close. One of these ones, right? That one. And we're getting pretty close here, right? So come back, and I'm just going to copy this and see if we can come back over. And maybe Anika, maybe oh, there we go. It actually works. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Actually able to copy and paste in between. So I'm not going to finish out the post totally, but what I will say is that like once we have like the cover and this one, it's then becomes really, really easy just to create the rest of our like carousels. So we can have like these multiple steps. And then again, if we really, really like this, we can end up saving this as a template for us to use, right? So make it a template, and we can save it in our niching down. I'll call this slides or carousel. I put slides because I can't spell the word carousel off the top of my head. Yeah. Oh, did somebody say I spelt the cover? It says ditching down. That's a complete mistake. Wow.
I just like told Chad that Jesse typed too fast. It's fine.
Yeah. I absolutely typed too fast. So okay, cool. And I'm really bad at spelling and grammar. So okay, cool. So let's just say like there's our post as well. We can like download all pages and like have those. And I think, how much time do we have left, Anika?
We have about 20 minutes.
We've got 20 minutes left. Okay, I'm going to do one more thing, which is I'm going to also do like a video. So I'm going to call this one slides, make sure that saves. Boom, we got the little cloud thing working for us, and I'll go back to home. So now we got a brand, we got our styles, we got like some animated stuff. I want to do probably a video using one of those videos that I've created. And maybe this time we'll do like an Instagram story, and this time we'll create it from scratch.
Okay.
So why don't we actually bring in some media, some video. And
we're getting the Instagram, talking to the camera. Yeah, I love it.
And that is an awful little cut of me with like sleepy eyes, but it's okay because really easily I can just like chop that part and wait, and so that it's starting at the right moment, right? So just like a little bit of video editing, I can cut that front and that back off, which works well. And then what we might do is we might just search over here for elements, and we have a little bit of that grungy style like that I found there. So like that's super helpful. So I might click and add one of those in. And there it comes for us. That's going to be good. And
that's actually great for text on top as well.
Yeah. So like, so again, I'm kind of thinking like, okay, I'm not going to do the text generation in here, but I'm definitely just going to turn on the captions when I get into Instagram, right? So like having a little spot here might be helpful. I might actually copy and paste and have another one really quickly. And we might just rotate it around so that it kind of mixes up and it has a little much more like space for like the text to fall in there. So that could work out really, really well. And then I don't know, we might even come back and play with some more elements, and maybe I just need like a shape because I need a little bit of that brand orange in there. And I know we had some of these on some of our carousel posts. So I might grab like a few of these little shapes and then turn them orange so that there we go. We might do something like that.
Do you ever use like, when you're creating something for Instagram Reels particularly, do you ever use like a margin thing? Because the Reels can also be viewed on your feed, which kind of cuts off the top and the bottom. So do you ever place your elements in a way that it shows up even if you're viewing it on feed?
Yeah. So I think like I kind of abide by like it depends on the platform, right? Like TikTok has
Hmm.
like a different like
Yeah.
margin setup than Instagram does. So
Yeah.
I just try to abide by like these two simple rules. Like obviously you want to, try to like get back and have like distance as far as you can. That's not
Yeah.
great in this version. I'm pretty up close in this video.
Yeah.
But you can always zoom in. You can't really like zoom out as much if you don't have the video there. And then after that, the text really, you just never want like text to fall far down here to the bottom. It's going to get cut off by a lot of the details and info in all the platforms. So try to
Yeah.
keep it just a little bit south of center and you'll probably
Hmm.
be okay. That's what I
Great
tend
tip
to kind
there.
of do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to pop a couple of these around. And we might just spin one to have a little bit of fun there. Okay. And now you can see like the video playing. And that's just like we've set that up. That feels pretty good. That could be all we need. Like we might do a little bit more. We might have some more fun with it. But you could also grab like each of the individual elements and like
Hmm.
animate them in if you wanted. So you can
Yeah.
see like, let's see if we can drag our slider. You can see right here, you'll see our little element actually animate in.
Yeah.
Right. So you can add little animations to the individual elements if you want. And again, like save it as a template. But let's say we really, really like it as is. We're going to go over to download. And then as that starts to download, I might jump over to my other window really quickly. And now we have like cover art, multiple videos. We got a carousel post. Now I'm going to go over to like where the content funnel really gets awesome, which is Adobe Schedule. So I really, really like Adobe Schedule. And
Hmm.
I think it's the way that you manage connections, the way that you're allowed to create one post and then
Yeah.
it actually just becomes multiple posts. I love the view of that. I'm in the month view right now. You can drill down to week, but I'm going to hit new post here really quickly and we can schedule it. And we got in the new beta version, we got this really nice clean scheduler. So let's say we want it to go out this Friday at like 8:45 in the morning. That feels pretty good. And then I've already gone in and plugged in my channels, right? And made
Yeah.
those connections. But it's a really simple process. If you want to do that, all you had to do is go up to the manage connections,
Yeah.
toss those in there, and it'll just link out to each one of those. And I know Adobe team is working on some more connections like TikTok. I know people are going to
Hmm.
ask that right away. It's
Yeah.
coming. That's what I've heard. It's coming really, really soon. So that'll
Yeah.
be really, really cool. But for me, one of the biggest kind of as much as possible, if everything could be housed under one roof, like I'm creating assets, downloading those assets, scheduling those assets, it's all happening from here. It feels like so good. So it just keeps me from having to jump around to different platforms. So that's super helpful. All right, I'm going to hit Facebook, maybe Instagram, Twitter, which is soon to be called X. I guess it's already called X. And let's say LinkedIn. And you notice that like when you schedule it for Instagram, it gives you the option for that initial first comment, which is really great. So I could add like a little caption, which again, I'm always going to go top of funnel. I'll go back to my text and just pull a piece out here. I'm not going to like rethink, like I'm not going to think of a caption. That's a waste of time. Like I already spent the time like writing it and doing it. But I'll definitely put in a couple of hashtags, like niching down and like podcast or something like that.
Hmm.
And then I could put my first comment in here. Let's just say I did that. I'll just fill it with something. And here's what I really like too. We're going to grab a little bit of our content here. And why don't we grab our first post will just be like our cover, right? Like, let's
Yeah.
do that. We'll add that. That's the way to like introduce yourself to the world as a brand new podcast that's coming out. I'm going to press preview and then I get this preview like for all the different platforms, which I super love because it actually allows me to just like take a moment and slow down and say, okay, how's it looking? Facebook looks good in
Yeah.
Instagram, pretty fun. Okay, yeah, I like that. So we can head back and I can either schedule this right now or save it as a draft. I'm just going to do
Hmm.
that to show how that looks, and we're going to build a few more things. So you can see that one post is now turned into 4 posts and they're all going to get automatically published for me. I don't have to do anything. Now there's some stipulations depending on the channel that you're on.
Yeah.
So like you need to make sure right now that for Instagram, you have a business, I believe it's like a business
Yeah. It is a business
profile.
account. Yeah.
Yeah, a business account. And that's going to allow things to like automatically post and do all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's working really good. I'm going to open up like this section over here. It's a really easy little button to miss.
Hmm.
But when you open that up, that's where I can actually start storing ideas instead of putting them on the content calendar. So I could
Yeah.
actually create a post over here and say, I'm not really sure when I want that one to go out. And so it kind
Mhm.
of leaves it a little bit ambiguous. But we could do the same thing and just say, hey, I think I want it to go to these platforms and has all the stuff in it. I selected Pinterest, which I don't usually post to Pinterest. That's fine. And then save it as a draft or whatever. And then why don't we find one of our videos that we created? I'll do that. And actually, we'll browse for it. I'm going to go to
Yeah.
Files so you can see what that looks like. And it's on my device. Excuse me. Browse on my device. And let's find our reel. There's a reel. Boom. We're going to upload that and add it. And I again, like part of being really productive and efficient when you're creating content is, like generating things as quickly as you possibly can.
Hmm.
Adding that as a draft. Let's see.
It might be a date thing.
It
Yeah.
might be a date thing.
Oh,
The
yeah.
beta version of
Okay.
Express doesn't support. Okay. We can just take that one off so we can see the example for now.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So um, let's see if we can save it as a draft. And okay, well, it's over there, and that's okay, but we can just drag it back into this section because we're not quite sure we want to put it out, which is cool. So
Yeah.
again, a couple of beta like things happening, but that's cool. We know how good it's going to get. We're really, really excited about it. So now I can kind of look at this like in my week view or my month view, and I start
Hmm.
planning content. I really like to try and as much as possible when I sit down to create content, I'm
Yeah.
going to try to sit down and bulk write content. I'm going to shoot content in bulk, and then I'm actually going to sit down at another time and plan all that content. So those are for me like the big kind of like that's the way the funnel works. But you should always
Yeah.
sit down and do each piece like in one like session if you can. How much content can you write in an hour? And that's your
Yeah.
Monday. And then on
Yeah.
Wednesday, take that content and we're going to start like editing it and doing some stuff with it. And then, yeah, I think within a couple of hours, like if you wrote your content, shot your content, did all your editing and everything inside of Express, and then planned everything, you could have really easily. I mean, we just created like probably enough content we could fill the week with, but within 4 or 5 hours, like a solid like half day's work, you could probably have your content planned for at least 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. I actually love the unscheduled post as well because you can actually put in notes for yourself for the future you. And when you're writing the content and you don't even know what's going to go on one particular day of the week, you can just put yourself a note, like a sticky note there,
Yeah,
and just like come
absolutely.
back
This
to it
also
when
happens
it's.
sometimes where like, sometimes I'm reviewing certain platforms or features or things like that are not quite live yet. And
Yeah.
so I have to wait for the day that they drop. I might, put it over here in unscheduled, have it ready. And the moment that thing like comes out, boom, I'm going to drop it on the calendar. Or maybe I want
Yep.
to release them like in a different schedule like that, where like they're coming out on different platforms on different days. It's just
Yeah.
fun to be able to mix and match those, which feels really, really good.
That actually brings up a great point for social media managers where you know that there's going to be a release in the future and you're already working on that project, or that part of your brand hasn't been released to the world yet. And you can just create that for the go like a month before and then
Yeah.
just drag it out.
Yep, absolutely. The faster you can like produce content, actually like a lot of people feel it's a motivation issue where they're like, I just don't feel motivated to create that. But what
Yeah.
actually motivates you is how much content you can create. So when you start to streamline the process, it starts to get
Yeah.
really exciting. Like, oh my gosh, I just created like 20 pieces of content. This is really exciting. I want to do it again. So it's actually
Yeah.
momentum that
Hmm.
motivates production. It's
Hmm.
it's one of those things, and to get that momentum you just gotta work out the system and the funnel that works best for you. And again,
Yeah.
Express is like a huge help in doing that.
Absolutely. The momentum along with the tools that help you do it.
Yep, momentum along with tools, right? Absolutely. Like one definitely helps and feeds the other,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. I'm just gonna unpackage this other video that I created, and maybe we can get that one up as well. Got a little carousel post. And I know while I'm doing this, like if there's any other questions like anybody has, feel free to ask them. I'd love to answer while I'm got a few more minutes left on the stream and scheduling some more content.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we have any questions yet, but again, if you have any, let us know. We have about 7-ish minutes in the stream, so maybe we can do one more thing and then wrap up.
Okay. Yeah, let's just schedule this one really quickly. We'll jump over and do like Facebook and Instagram, and we'll drop that we'll drop the carousel stuff in there that we have created. So I'm going to browse on my device and go back to my downloads here. And where did I put those? Here we go. It's inside here. So we can grab these, upload our carousel. Feels pretty good. Okay, awesome. And then as those upload, we could then schedule it. Boom. We got that going. We might go back now since we have time. We got a bunch of content. We're doing so well scheduling our content.
We might go back. This is like less than 50 minutes.
Less than 50 minutes, and we created a brand. We created multiple templates. We have everything stored away for efficiency, and we have content scheduled, ready to go. We might now, like, I think the cool thing is, like, okay, productivity actually frees us up for more creativity. So the faster I can get through these things, these elements, by having that good system, now we just get to go back and like maybe play a little bit more with like things like Firefly and build some more assets like for my podcast, which I think we might do right now. So let's do podcast.
I can really go in and experiment and see what kind of works for you and kind of play on the brand imagery a little bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see what we get if we do a couple podcasting in a studio, because definitely for our hypothetical podcast, we would like to do interviews. I think that would be.
Wait, is this hypothetical or is this going to be a real podcast?
No, this is, well, I don't want to say too much, but it's
okay, so it's real then. Okay.
Well, this specific podcast might be hypothetical, but a cool podcast that's coming in the future might be real. Okay. So yeah, so definitely interested in that. I think it would be fun.
Be on the lookout, chat.
Be on the lookout. Yeah. I can't. I feel like I don't want to blow up like Marvel movie secret kind of things right now.
Stay after the credits to watch.
Who this is happening with, and that's kind of cool. We got some illustrated versions of this as well. We might actually do like. I wonder what it would look like if we just played with some of our selections here. Like, let's do graphic art style.
I actually see something on your YouTube as well, so that's cool. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm just like snooping now.
So Ooh, hey, look at what we created. This is actually starting to get really, really fun, and I'm sure we could pull some of this in, like this kind of like unique generated like artificial intelligence art, and then start playing with the colors of it. So we might be able to just start retheming right now. I wonder if it will apply.
Oh, that's interesting.
Will it? It will not. Okay, I hadn't tried it yet. I didn't know. I wasn't sure if we could.
I think because they're not distinct elements, that's why you cannot. But maybe you can add like a duotone effect.
Well, I always have to test stuff out because I know like Firefly's like implementations into like Illustrator and being able to change color. I'm like, ooh, when are all these things starting to like cross pollinate into other areas?
Yeah.
But I could definitely do like some stylistic stuff here and start playing like with either duotone. Or like making some adjustments and changing color to like, you know, maybe get closer to our brand. So that could be kind of fun as well. So that's definitely some ideas too.
Absolutely. Yeah. The chat is loving it. Wade says that would have been wild.
I know, right? I'm waiting for it. It'll be a lot of fun. Okay, cool. Let's see. We were saying like we definitely need to do like a remove background.
Yeah. Let's do that.
In case we need, and we have a little bit of time left to do so. So let's grab like some imagery here. Here I have an image, and I'm just going to drag and drop this image of this podcaster in. Let's do a quick remove.
I feel like now you're okay.
Yeah,
you were challenging the tool and it just like blew my mind away.
It did pretty good. It did not so bad. I mean, I definitely would want to frame her out a little bit different, right? Since the bottom of it a little bit interesting, but that is the start of like a great and I mean great like design like for our podcast.
Absolutely. So, I also love that it kind of like learned from the depth of field with the podcast boom arm as well and didn't actually remove that, which is cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. Okay, rad. Maybe we would do something like this and pop this in as a new page. And then we can kind of come back and grab our subject matter bring it over into our new page and paste here.
Okay.
You know, so now we just start working in like some elements here and bringing in like our theme. Ooh, there we go. Yep. Recommended swatches custom. Yeah, so we would go back in and find our theme stuff and make it work, our brand stuff.
Yeah, I think that pretty much does it for today. This was a lot
Yeah.
of content. I feel like we did cover a lot. We created a brand, we created so many posts, and I totally enjoyed learning from you while we talk about typography. That was my favorite bit. But we really need to know if the podcast is real. So why don't you point us to where we can find you on socials and how we can learn all about it as we
Sure.
close
Yeah.
today's
Yeah.
session?
Definitely the mystery will unfold a little bit as we go, but you can always find me on YouTube, Jesse Showalter, or youtube.com/Jesse Showalter. And I'm on
Yeah.
all the social platforms like Instagram and Twitter and all that kind of stuff at I'm Jesse Show. So you can find me there. And I'm always trying to, help train people to create content, build their brand, and land that next job. So follow me there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Jesse, for showing us all the good things in Adobe Express. And thank you so much, Chad, on Behance and YouTube for joining us. Stick around for Nick and Andrew up next with another episode of Office Hours. I don't know what we're doing today. We might be doing Brand Slam again, but stick around to find out. And we will see you another time. Have a good one. Bye.